Peekaboo! Hi, this is Kim with Mom's Creative Moments. Welcome back to my channel. Super excited to talk to you just for a minute today about adding titles and Peekaboo Pockets to your albums. And if you've been following my Ireland series, then you know that I use a lot of Peekaboo Pockets in my Ireland series. And I don't usually show you how I create the titles that I use in my album. And I'm not actually going to show you that part today either, because it's just a little bit harried for me to explain how I use my Cricut to create a title. But maybe one day I will get, I'll get good enough at all this tech stuff that I can do screenshots and show you what's going on my computer screen and how I make those titles. But suffice it to say, when I am creating my pages, I will usually leave kind of a little bit of open space on the page somewhere, and it's in that space that I then add my title. And so what I will do is, when I've reached the point where I am with my Ireland album right now, I will go through with a bunch of little Post-it notes about this size. Or sometimes I'll take my 3-inch Post-it notes and I'll cut them into 1/2-inch strips. And I will take a pencil and I'll just flip through each page at a time, and I'll identify the area that I want to put that title in, make a guess or a visual assessment of how big that space is, and I'll make a note on that Post-it. It's 5 inches wide and 2 inches high. And then I will write the words that I want to be my title on that Post-it also. And so then when I sit down with Cricut Design Space, I'm able to sit and just create all of those titles. I generally will keep the font exactly the same for an album like this. I don't change the font. It's always the same. And I will go ahead and, by the way, for the last 2 videos that you've seen, I have added titles that I had already created to those pages. And so in the description details of that video, it'll tell you which font I used. I'm not remembering right now. I think it was vintage something, but I don't remember for sure because I didn't write it on my notes here. But you can look in the details of those 2 videos and it'll tell you exactly which font I used. And then I will create a base for those letters that I've cut to go onto at the same time that I'm creating the title. And then that, I have found, anchors the title a little bit better on my page. So you'll see those titles as we are kind of working through today's video, and just know that you'll see more of them in the flip through where we look at every page. But for today's purposes, we're mainly going to focus on adding Peekaboo Pockets. I'm not going to show you every single Peekaboo Pocket that I added in this album, but I am going to show you a variety of different ways that I have added Peekaboo Pockets in this album so that you can see how those are mounted and get a good idea of how to do that in your own album. All right? Thanks so much. Let's get to my workspace and we'll get started. All right, so we are just about done with volume number 4, but there are a few things that I need to do to get this finished up. I've gone through the album already. I've added some journaling. I've added titles. I have added some Peekaboo Pockets to the page protectors, but there are a few of the larger Peekaboo Pockets that we need to add And I thought I would take you along for the ride for that, just in case you are not clear on how that is done. So you might recall this particular layout that we did, and I'm sorry for the glare that you're going to see on these pages. Let me see if I can do anything that will help that. I'm going to use my border maker system and see if I can get this at a better angle so that you have less glare. Let's see if that helps at all. I don't think it has helped much. So at any rate, you'll recall that we did these two large Peekaboo pockets, and they are designed to be connected to this outer edge right here. And because they're going on the outside edge and they're vertical, we need to do a couple things to ensure that the Peekaboo pocket fits properly and we can still open and close our Peekaboo pocket with no issues. So the first thing I'm going to do is grab my scissors. You can use the good old blue-handled CM scissors, or you can use your micro-tipped precision point scissors. I'm going to use the precision point scissors because I just like them for this. And what we're going to do is we're going to cut a notch out of each corner, and that way this will slip underneath the page protector easier and not cause heartache. Okay, so we're just going to cut a little corner, a little beveled corner on each end of the adhesive flap. Okay, so we're just going to do that very simple thing, and then we're going to peel off the backing for the adhesive. There it is. So we'll peel off that backing, toss that away, toss our corners away. Now we're going to slip this little sliver, this little folded piece underneath the Peekaboo, or underneath the page protector. And some may say, oh, it must be easier to do that before you put the page protector on. And I would say that in some cases you would be right. But having fought with many a page protector, I think it's easier to just go ahead and slide this in after you have added the page protector. Now the trick is to get this straight, and so what I usually do is sort of use the fold to my benefit and try to scooch that under and line it up with the page the best that I can, and just kind of ignore any pushback that you might get from the page protector itself. All right, and then you get that nice and pushed down so that it adheres to the page without any bubbles in it. And then you're good to go. Okay, so that one is done. We'll do this side, and then I've still got the page protector on this side, so I will go ahead and show you what it's like without the page protector on, and then you can judge for yourself. But I honestly think it's easier without, or with having the page protector already on the page before you place your Peekaboo pocket. Oh, and I'm using the wrong scissors too. You can use really any of the scissors. It doesn't really matter specifically. It's whichever ones you're most comfortable with. All right. So now I've got my Peekaboo pocket and my corners, and I'm just going to line this up with the outer edge of my page, right next to the jeeping, if possible. Okay, so we've got that on, nice and sealed down that outer edge. Now we're going to need to adhere or put the page protector on, and ideally what we would do is start with this being outside, but this is going to be as wide as the page protector, so it's going to be a little bit of a challenge. So this is what I'm going to try. I have not tried this before, so we're gonna fake it and see if this works by leaving that closed and then fitting this over the edge. Either way, you kind of fight it. You can see how the page is bowing just a little bit. And that's really, you want it to do that because there's no other way to get it on there. Because of the fact that that Peekaboo pocket is the same width as the page protector. So we're just gonna go a little at a time and try sliding it on. Let's make sure it's not getting caught on the back side. Let's see if I can pull it. You can see it's quite the wrestling match. So honestly, I think probably the best way was the first way that I showed you. Come on, just slide a little bit further. All right, so that has slid. Now we need to try to pull this out without tearing the page protector. Oop. That was kind of dicey, for sure. Okay, so I highly recommend the first way. I really think that works best, but it will work doing it the other way. We just proved that. All right, so now we're going to proceed to some other Peekaboo pockets that need to be put on. So I've already got the page protector put on this page right here, and we're going to go ahead and place these smaller Peekaboo pockets. Do you remember when we made this for the Dueling Fairy? We're going to go ahead and line this up. So I take the adhesive off the back, and then I line up the side that is not the adhesive. I line up where I want it to go. In this instance, I'm going to line up the edge of the photo and center the Peekaboo pocket over the top. And then I'm going to place the whole thing down on top of that page protector. Okay, so now we've got all of that, all those photos attached to the page protector on top. All right, and then we've got these two over here on the side, and these two are going to go in opposite places. So I've got this one right here with the cool puffins and the whale tail at the top. Let me get rid of those. Get off the cellophane. Okay. So I'm going to just hold the adhesive side, the adhesive flap. I'm going to line that up with my photo and go ahead and adhere the photo to the page protector. I'm going to do the same thing with this one, only it's going to open on the opposite edge. So just removing that cellophane that covers the adhesive. Okay, then we're going to do the same thing we did here, only we're going to line this up with the photos above and the edge of our page down here at the bottom. Okay, so there's that one. All right, Now, when you're doing smaller pictures in their Peekaboo Pockets like this, sometimes it's a good idea to add tabs because it's hard for your person who's looking at your album to know what opens and what doesn't, and they'll be like feeling your page to try to find your Peekaboo Pockets because sometimes they're not super obvious. This one's really obvious because it's fairly thick, but these are not as obvious. So I use my tab punch and I create a tab that I then add to my photos. So I grab some cardstock that's going to match the colors on the page. So I've got Kelly Green cardstock. There's Kelly Green in the title up here. There's Kelly Green in the accent papers. And so Kelly Green will make a perfect addition as a tab because it's adding just another little pop of color to the page. So we use an accent color, and that makes even more of a cute little accent on the side. Okay, so I just punch 3 tabs, then I go ahead and I fold them in half. I'll have to look before I do the intro for this particular video and see if the tab punch is still available. I think it is, but I haven't checked for a bit, so I'll check. But if you have one already that you know, hopefully, the value of that punch, this is just a super fun way to help draw attention to your photos. So I'm going to add adhesive on the flat side of this punch. So I folded it in half at the center point. And then I added my repositionable adhesive so you can see the reflection there along the straight edge. Then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to lift up the top Peekaboo Pocket or the Peekaboo Pocket, depending on what you've got. I take a look at both photos just to make sure that I'm not covering anything important up. And then I typically try to place it somewhere where I'm not going to be covering anything on the photo and where it's not going to cover anything on the page either. Okay, so that way we've got a nice handy little signal to your viewer that there's something more there and they ought to open it up and interact with it. So we're going to do the same thing here, and I'm going to still go ahead and go with this lower corner. And when I go to put these tabs on, having already put the adhesive on, I try to line up this corner and this corner with the edge of my Peekaboo Pocket and then just squeeze it to adhere it to the edge. So we're going to do the same thing up here with this one. And I'm going to go with this lower corner again. And just squeeze it so it sticks down really well. And then that way people know to flip that open. All right, let's see. I've got one more here I wanted to do with you. This is the Chocolate Factory. And I did put one of my Peekaboo or one of my page protectors on already on this right-hand side. I have not put it on the left, but I am going to wait and do it after I adhere this Peekaboo Pocket, the big one in the middle, because this is going down the center. And when you are placing your Peekaboo Pocket down the center, you can do your page protector after with no issues at all. So I'm going to go ahead and cut my notches because those are still going to be important and helpful. Okay, so there's my 2 little notches. I'm going to come back in here and peel off that adhesive. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and keep that folded over and line it up with that center edge. And go ahead and stick it down. All right, so just like that, okay? And then I have two more that I need to make sure get stuck down. And these two are from an actual bag of chocolates that we bought, the honeycomb chocolates, the crunchy honeycomb milk chocolates, which were quite yummy, I do have to say. I want to put both of these on just because this one actually shows the ingredients and this one shows the cover of the bag, which is then reflected in this photo underneath it. So I'm going to place these one right on top of each other. And I would put this in here with this, except I have the receipt on the back, so I don't want to do that. So I'm just going to take the adhesive off of both of these. And I'm actually going to stack them. So I want this one on top. I want this one underneath. They're the same width. So I'm going to put the creases together and then let that adhesive on the one adhere to the other. And I probably should have left that strip on the top one just because it would have been easier to stick those together, but that's okay. And then this one is going to go right over top. Oops, I need to put my page protector on first. What am I thinking? Crazy. Okay, let's get the page protector on. I'm going to set this over here so it doesn't stick to my page protector. So I'm going to just slip this on over top of all my pictures. This is going to protect my photos from any water that might fall on them or fingerprints or anything that could damage them. All right, that's hung up on something. Oh, this over here. There we go. Okay, so there's my Peekaboo, my page protector, sorry. And see how it fit right over the top of my Peekaboo pocket that goes here. Then we're going to take the two we just put together, and these are going to go right on top of this photo of the honeycomb covered chocolate. So now we've got two cute things to remind us of our experience. I do need to add or want to add a couple of tabs though to that so that people will be sure to flip all the way up. So let's see, what color should we use to do that? Maybe either a brown or a green. I've got the green handy, so I might as well just use green, especially since we used green to matte a couple of the photos on this page. I think that would work just fine. So let me go ahead and I'm going to trim this off. That way I can get my punch in on this edge right here. I think I have just enough. Well, not quite. There we go. And of course it fell on the floor. Okay, so we're just going to take that and once again we're going to fold it in. I'm going to need two of these too. I don't know why I only punched one. That's all right. You'll get it. All right, and then this is going to go on the edge. And for this one, I'm going to actually place it a little bit higher so that I can then put the second punch or the second tab. One second. get rid of that so that I can get the punch where I want it to go. There we go. I'm having a day. Can you tell? So we'll do the second one. This one's going to go right on the bottom of this second Peekaboo pocket, and then they should cascade. Yep, that works. Perfect. Okay. Super. And then when this is closed, we can still flip these open. Very good. Okay. Now all the rest of the Peekaboo pockets are already adhered, and I've done all my journaling, so I am ready to do a flip through. So stay tuned. We're going to do a flip through of volume number 4 and the completion of the Ireland series next time I post. So I hope you'll join us for that. Thanks so much for joining me today. Until next time, I hope you have many more creative moments. Enjoy your day.